Hey guys, and welcome back to another Overwatch video. In this one, we'll be taking a look at a specific someone, mainly Symmetra. So Symmetra's been through a lot in Overwatch's history. I mean, her in the beta is extremely different than her now. But not only that, she went through multiple changes throughout her history. However, all of that doesn't matter too much because we're mainly going to be looking at Overwatch's beta and how powerful she used to be, mainly her shield. Now, a lot of you may know her shield, back then it was called the Photon Shield, or you may not know anything of what I'm talking about. You may be thinking about the shield which she used to throw in front of her for a short period of time during that one rework, but that isn't the case. This Photon Shield was actually placed straight onto an ally, and it was a lot stronger than most people made it out to be at first. So today we'll be diving straight into why it was strong, why they had to change it, and a little bit of a history lesson. If you guys do enjoy this video, consider hitting that like button, maybe even subscribe for more Overwatch content, and let's get straight into it. During the inception of Overwatch, since Symmetra was tagged as a support hero and was placed in the support category without any sort of real ability to heal, she was basically overlooked and completely ignored by the community. It took a long while for people to even try her out in the first place, and even longer for people to realize just how powerful she was. So like I mentioned at the beginning, Symmetra's shield wasn't the barrier that went up in front of her, or something like her ultimate that we see today, which is a huge shield. No, it was literally a shield that was directly applied to your allies that gave them a little bit of health, 50 to be exact. So basically, if you played Symmetra, you would try to shield all your allies and set up your turrets right before the match started, meaning everyone would have a shield until death and your turrets were ready to defend. This does sound good, fine and dandy, but at the current time, both were on much longer cooldowns, and it was extremely hard for Symmetra to actually get everything set up before the match started. And of course, once the enemies began to run at you, you don't want to be running around trying to shield and place your first turrets. It doesn't make sense. However, a change came into play in which the Photon Shield cooldown was significantly reduced and the Sentry Turret cooldown was significantly reduced as well. With these two changes, this is where Symmetra's power creep began. Now keep in mind, like I just said, this is where it began, but no matter how much this buff did help her, she was still disregarded by the community because she had other glaring issues. I mean, at the time there weren't very many tanks, so Winston was a hot pick and he was a direct counter to Symmetra due to his dive ability and his bubble shield. Of course, with all that being said, it still did help her out, and it was just the beginning for a massive change in the future. This all started during the winter of 2015, where Blizzard took down the first beta servers, so basically they ended beta phase 1, and they decided to take feedback from the community, listen to the beta testers, reevaluate every single hero, and re-release the game for beta phase 2 with those balance changes in mind. Of course, Symmetra was one of those hard-hitting heroes that got huge amounts of changes in the forms of multiple buffs. Now, the exact buffs are right here on screen, in which Symmetra's turrets will no longer generate ultimate charge when dealing damage to barriers, which of course was a small nerf, but nothing compared to the teleporter buff, in which her ultimate was reduced. Her ultimate cost was reduced by 40%, like almost halving the cost. Symmetra also no longer gained ultimate charge with her teleporter active, so it's tried to balance out the 40% decrease, but that is absolutely huge. Half of her ult charge completely gone. She's getting her ultimate literally at double the pace that she used to before. These were to mainly have it so she was a little more forgiving, because before this point, if you died to Symmetra in the early game, you kind of lost the entire match, which was a little bit unfortunate. So with this cushion, she now began to be a little bit more forgiving, which encouraged players to try her out again. Now, as her popularity began to increase, of course her teleporter was one of the strongest parts of her kit. I mean, the very fact of being able to set up a smart teleporter to allow your teammates to get back into a team fight while defending a point is critical. It's literally it was one of the most powerful parts of Symmetra. But as her popularity kept growing, it wasn't her teleporter that prevailed, but actually her Photon Shield. The ability to give 50 plus HP or 50 plus armor to all 6 of your teammates was huge. I mean, the photon shield literally had a cooldown of about 1.5, so you could spam it so easily. I mean, come on, 1.5 seconds to spam a 50 HP heal that stays with your ally until they die. It doesn't matter where they are on the map, no matter where they go, there's no range, they stayed alive. Now this is the turning point in her history. This is where she spiked in play and everyone wanted to play Symmetra. She was already an accessible hero. For people who didn't really like aiming or wasn't exactly gifted at it, you didn't have to do any. And on top of that, she was quite a passive hero because her turrets could, of course, zone out a certain area all on their own. Symmetra continued to gain popularity match over match, and people kept playing her more and more, and it honestly catapulted the very first meta of all of Overwatch, which was absolutely busted. However, this meta didn't just, of course, revolve only around Symmetra, but thanks to another change Blizzard made to Genji at the time. So if you guys didn't know, his health used to be 150, but his survivability was low because of it. So Blizzard came in and increased his health from 150 to 200, which skyrocketed him straight to the top of the DPS list. So with Genji being an S tier DPS, and Symmetra being able to increase his health by another 50 because of the photon shield, we had a 250 HP Genji monster. However, it doesn't end there. Another huge factor was back then, if you guys did not know, Genji's Dragon Blade lasted 10 seconds. Right now it lasts 7 seconds. The 10 seconds allowed him to get another 3 full swings in with his Dragon Blade, so now we had a 250 HP dashing Genji with 10 seconds of Dragon Blade dominating the meta. Of course, that's not all, as a total team comp does not consist of only 2 people. So an early team comp in this meta consisted of something like this: 1 Symmetra, 2 Genjis, 2 Zenyatas, and 1 flex role. So basically, whatever the other person wanted to play. If it was on defense, Torbjorn was actually someone who was played a lot, but the last person wasn't exactly a huge part of the team comp. The first 5, however, were the Symmetra, mainly for her shields, like we've been talking about, the 2 Genjis for the Dragon Blade shield combo, like we're talking about, since she could shield both of them, and 2 Zenyatas, just so they can put the healing orb on the 2 Genjis. So now we had Genji continuously regenning, 2 of them, both with Dragon Blade at 250 health. It was it was an absolutely insanely broken time for Overwatch, with an insane meta that was extremely toxic in a sense, but obviously in the beta stages it's just all fun and everyone was learning, so it was generally a good time to be alive. Something else to realize is that Symmetra had a peak win rate of 65%, making her win rate wise the most effective Overwatch hero of all time. However, from there a change did rise upon Symmetra, which reduced her shield amount from 50 to 25, with the developer saying that they feel Symmetra's win rate is too high, which, I mean, like I said, it was peaking 65%. Since then, Symmetra went under. Of course, first she had the photon shield, then she had her barrier shield, the one that floated in the sky. Then they made her ultimate allowed to either have a shield generator or a teleporter. Then they continued to change it over and over till her turrets are changed. Then you have to aim your beam now, and you have your ultimate that's literally a cross-map shield. Like, she went under a ton of changes. However, once her photon shields were removed during the release of Overwatch, she did fall out of meta. Of course, she had her very, very infamous car wash, in which it did work on certain maps, but you couldn't just main her and play her on every single map realistically. She just wasn't extremely heavy in the meta. And believe it or not, since then, since the photon shields were removed, she fell out of meta forever. Like, she never actually got back into the meta until recently. Until right now, the first meta of Roll Q with the double shield, Symmetra finally made it back to an S tier hero. However, it didn't last long since Blizzard was immediate to nerf her, but she's still an A tier hero now, but she really did fall off for so long thanks to that change all the way back in the beta. Of course, it was for the better. The Photon Shield, till now, when you look back at it, was probably single-handedly the most broken ability in Overwatch's history, and it wasn't very engaging. You could just spam it, and if you were the Symmetra player, it was more of a chore. I mean, it was broken, and you were buffing your team, but in general, it was a chore. Anyhow, that's the story of Symmetra's OP shield during the Overwatch beta. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, consider hitting that like button and even maybe subscribe. It really helps out a ton, more than I could possibly ever imagine. Of course, leave a comment down below and let me know what I can improve in any future videos, since I really want to push to make this content better. But regardless, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.